how TOMS uses email and SMS to drive revenue, boost loyalty, and increase efficiency. So today, in our session with Patrick, we're going to discover how TOMS, with its lean marketing team, drives almost a third of their revenue using email and SMS campaigns. So in this session, we'll dive into how TOMS leverages these channels not only to drive revenue, but also to enhance customer loyalty and increase operational efficiency. You'll learn about their continuous refinement of marketing strategies through ongoing testing, ensuring every campaign contributes significantly to their success. And so with that, I welcome Patrick Murray, Strategy Director, Listrak.
Thank you. Thanks Commerce Next for giving me this opportunity to speak today. I'm looking forward to spending a couple minutes with everyone telling you the story of our partnership with TOMS and how they are increasing efficiency through all of their owned channels, specifically email and SMS. Yes, I am the Director of Strategy at Listrak. I get the opportunity to work with great brands like TOMS, as well as a litany of other brands around opportunities to optimize all of their campaigns, whether it's acquisition, on the front end, acquiring new contacts, or pulling in behavioral-based triggers and getting the right message in front of the right people at the right time. But what we're here to talk about today is that partnership with TOMS. And I brought a prop up with me. I hope you can all see it, right? But if I asked everyone in the room, what this is or what this represents, I'd get a ton of answers, probably around the same thing. It's pretty obvious. You may also think that I'm a little touched. But the thing that I'm holding right here is a shoe, right? It's a blue shoe. It's a slip-on shoe. Using all the context clues, you might even know that it's a TOMS shoe. But what that shoe actually represents for millions of people around the world is a number of opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have, right? So before I get into talking about the marketing efforts and the great things that TOMS is doing, on their e-com site and within email and SMS, I want to talk about TOMS as a brand. So Blake Mycoskie founded TOMS back in 2006. You may know Blake, or you may know the story of TOMS. He was a contestant on The Amazing Race back in 2002. He's a serial entrepreneur. And on a vacation in Argentina in 2006, he met a group of volunteers that were on a mission providing shoes to underprivileged children. So that really motivated him. He had been charitable, but had never seen the end result or the fruits of what that charity actually does, and seeing the smiles and the impact that kindness had on the people that were actually the recipients of it. So Blake returned to the United States. He started the Shoes for Tomorrow project. And the Shoes for Tomorrow project was a shoe company that was designed and had the mission of donating one pair of shoes for every pair of shoes that they sold. So that shoe today, 18 years later, is a symbol of this impact that this organization is having around the world. Today, TOMS donates 1/3 of their profits to support mental health resources around the United States and around the world for people that otherwise wouldn't have access to them. So they've evolved over the years, donating different types of medical care, eyeglasses, vision tests, and now mental health awareness is top of mind for them. So when you are wearing TOMS, you are wearing good. That's their slogan. If you're on their site, I'd encourage you to check out their impact page and their About Us page, because it is truly remarkable what they're doing. So does make you feel good wearing them, knowing that you have a good impact around the world, and it makes me proud to get the opportunity to work with them on a pretty regular basis. So getting back to what we're here to talk about today. In 2002, TOMS was faced with a number of the challenges that I'm sure the rest of you were as well, right? They took the initiative to evaluate their tech stack and their marketing programs, and want to level up all the different campaigns that they're running, close the gaps that they had with data in different marketing channels and different vendors and different platforms. They found it difficult to orchestrate across channels, to personalize each touch point because data lived in various different places. They also had a very lean team, so they were looking for more support in strategy, analytics, and just day-to-day support managing the platform that they were working in. So they made the decision to move to a unified platform. They also wanted to add in identity resolution, which was growing at the time and becoming more and more prevalent across the market. So they moved all of their multiple different platforms into Listrak to work towards the efforts of simplifying and becoming more efficient in these owned channels. So coming into 2023, again, like many of you in the room, they were faced with tough economic, retail climate. There was less discretionary spending. People, were tightening their budgets. They made a decision to become less promotional, right? They knew that 2023 was not going to be a positive comp over 2022 across the site, but they want to become less promotional, tighten up those coupon code orders, get a higher percentage of their customer base being full price buyers, and just overall change their philosophy towards discounting. Again, lean team, so they needed support. So in early 2023, the TOMS team put together their promotional calendar, worked with their Listrak team, their account managers, their strategists, their analysts, to identify how are we going to approach this. We know it's going to be a tough year. We got some headwinds we have to go against, but let's put together a plan that's going to help us acquire more contacts, identify more people that are shopping on our site, get more people to buy full price and less conditioned to add an item to their cart and wait for a coupon code, or just know that Friday we're going to be 40% off across the whole site. So they put together this plan. We worked together with them to figure out, what's the best acquisition strategy? How can we help capture first-party data and identify more people that are coming to the site? How do we then break down each campaign and look to see where can we find efficiencies to take some of the pressure off of your lean team that's curating content, identifying audiences, building segmentation strategies, and then delivering these messages across the campaigns. So what we did was met, tested, put together a plan, put it into action. Each month we're analyzing data, optimizing where we need to, and letting that data inform what the next test or the next optimization would be. So what that actually looked like, email and SMS for TOMS in 2022 was still pretty healthy, right? It was 29% of their business. So using Google Analytics, identifying where revenue was coming from, 29% of their business was coming from their owned channels. But almost every order contained a code. They were like discounting just about everything. So how do we help keep it or grow it in 2023, but more profitable? So as I'd mentioned, we put together these plans. We started testing. We looked at where there were gaps within their automations, right? How can we get less of a burden on your team and get more into those behavioral-based triggers, the automations, the quote-unquote set it and forget it, but never forget it because we're constantly looking and optimizing those campaigns. And what we saw through 2023 was by taking a more strategic approach and a more aggressive approach towards acquisition, we were able to get more new users, better lifeblood into their program. We optimized every one of those automations from the welcome series, identifying who's a new customer, who's a new subscriber, who's a new subscriber that has previously purchased, who's a subscriber that came in from an offline channel, who came in from a social channel, and making sure that the message that we were delivering matched up with where that contact was coming from. We're also making sure that we're addressing people across channels and orchestrating those messages and those touch points with personalized content in the right channel at the right time. From there, we found, let's look at the table stakes, your abandonment conversations, your post-purchase nurture, win back. How do we identify who's a one-time purchaser? How do we speak to a one-time purchaser versus someone who's purchased 5 times? And constantly testing content, offers, calls to action, landing pages to make sure that we're getting the most out of them. In 2023, they had a modest increase in contribution coming from these own channels. They went from 29 to 32. They sent less. They grew their list. They had better retention because they weren't sending just promotional message after promotional message to a large audience every day. They allowed the automations, not necessarily allowed, but we made this conscious shift to bolster up the automations and take a burden off of the broadcast business as usual sense. As we drive deeper into how or what that actually looked like for them, within the email channel, in 2022, 14% of their email revenue was coming from those automations. Putting together this plan that we started working on in early 2023, we were able to see a swing where 60% of that revenue was now coming from the automations, and 40% was coming from those batch and blast. So a lean team had more time to focus on putting better content. Right? It was easy to just duplicate what they were doing the years before and putting 40% off today, 30% tomorrow, 50%. And now they're sending more segmented, personalized messages, but fewer messages because they can narrow down the audience that they're sending to, targeting the people that are the most engaged, more frequently, and those less engaged people less frequently. On the SMS side, you can see it's a huge swing as well. 71% of their SMS revenue is coming from automations. And the majority of that is coming from welcome. So like identifying people that are new to the site, getting them to opt into email and SMS, and then seeing how quickly that they convert, and that SMS welcome journey is nurturing them towards that first purchase. One of the ways, excuse me, that we're seeing that, and this is pretty common across every retailer that we work with. Okay, optimizing the acquisition strategy. So here, the visuals that we have are desktop. But I would say, and if anyone takes anything out of this, is if you can tomorrow, need to make any adjustments, your mobile entry pop-up is going to be the linchpin to the success of the program. So you're driving tons of anonymous traffic to your site on a daily basis. In early 2023, this is what TOMS entry pop-up experience looked like. It was an entry pop-up that would fire on a 3-second delay. So the page would load, 3 seconds later, you would see the entry pop-up. And they have a tiered offer, so they would give you 10% off if you sign up for SMS. And as you can see here, a new email subscriber would be recognized, thank you, you're in. They wanted to keep people on the site, so they give them the coupon code right there in line. You can see that banner that's at the top. Keep them on the site, make it easy for them to use that code and check out. They escalate the offer up to 15 if you sign up for SMS. It's a solid strategy. It got excellent acquisition on the email side, moderate on the SMS side. Right? There was a bit of a less of an incentive to sign up for SMS. When you're already getting 10% off, I think people make a judgment of like, I'm good with the 10, I don't need to sign up and get that extra 5% off. So they had moderate success in that strategy. But shortly after this, which I'm sure a number of you have also experienced, their e-com team, their SEO agency, tell them that their site is failing, the core web vitals, page speed insights are telling them that their intrusive interstitial is slowing down their site and it's causing problems. Their SEO rankings are going to drop. So being a good partner, working with them, being open and honest, we say we've heard this 100 times. There are a number of things that we can do, we can test. Just because the results that I've seen with these other clients doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same for you, so let's put some plans in place. So we're testing the acquisition strategy, delaying the pop-up, moving it to a second page, moving it to a scroll event, right? So the page loads, the pop-up won't fire until the user interacts with the site. They start scrolling down, and then you'll see that entry pop-up fire. So we ran these different tests for over a month. I think the scroll event came in like the second month, and we ran it for 4 weeks. And the client was open and honest with us. They said, we'll share the results that we see. Our expectation is we will see an increase in our SEO rankings. Our site speed will improve. And we warned them that that may happen, but you're going to see a decrease in acquisition. That decrease in acquisition is going to have a trickle-down effect across some of the other triggers and automations as well. And what we saw, after 4 weeks was email subscription rates dropped by 44%, and they had no change in any of the other KPIs. So the client shared that, said, you were right, we agree. We can go back to the entry pop-up that we had before, and things immediately rebounded. So acquisition started to increase, and then now, or later in 2023, as we were going through, we continued to optimize that experience. And so this spinner pop-up, which is not new, it's not revolutionary. Many people roll their eyes when they even see it or hear us bring it up, but it increases subscription rates by over 50%. And if I've run 35 different clients with a similar experience, between 40 to 60% increase in email submission rates just by putting some sort of gamification or interactive modal before you ask them to supply their email address. So towards the end of the year, and if you go to Tom's site right now, I believe they're still running a variation of this. They're getting over 3% of the anonymous traffic that comes to their site that signs up for email every day. It's close to 3,000 new additions to their database every single day. And then when traffic spikes, that ratio stays there and continues to update. One of the things I want to call out as well is, as you see the video here, changes that we made. We no longer show that coupon code immediately upon an email subscription. They are still upgrading. They've actually increased the offer. And they were able to do that because they're giving so many fewer offers across other automations and across their business as usual messages. So we've helped narrow down coupon usage, became a little richer offer on the acquisition front. But this experience of not giving that coupon code, showing the 20%, helped increase SMS acquisition drastically. And that's what's leading to that 71% of their SMS revenue coming from these automations. So moving forward, one of the things that we are continuing to test in is different variations of this type of entry pop-up, using more AI in some of those automations to allow the algorithm to help us predict who's the most likely to be a full price buyer versus a coupon buyer, who's most likely to purchase, unsubscribe, et cetera, and using all of that data to help us automate that experience. I included this quote from their current CEO, Magnus, who I believe this is probably the key to why we saw such a quick turnaround and success with this program. They've, from the beginning, told us what they liked about previous vendors, what they didn't like, what they wanted to improve, where they were seeing success, where they were not seeing success. And we have open lines of communication. This open, honest, over-communication has really helped us foster a really positive working relationship and excellent business results for TOMS. So as I'm looking at the clock, that is just about 20 minutes, but I wanted to thank you guys for, again, giving me this opportunity.